The ache for transformation often begins as a quiet discomfort, a subtle tension between who we have been and who we sense we could become. In that fragile space between identity and potential, the soul begins to whisper its truth. That self-love is not an ornament of confidence, but the foundation of all creation. Before we can consciously manifest anything, we must remember what it means to belong to ourselves. Radical self-love is not a loud declaration. It is the act of returning again and again to the center of our own being. It is born in the moments when we stop negotiating our worth with the world and instead decide that our very existence is proof enough of our deserving. The journey toward conscious manifestation begins here, not in visualization techniques or affirmations, but in the reclamation of the self that has long been fragmented by expectation, doubt, and fear. Every manifestation begins as an energetic echo of self-perception. The universe does not answer what we say we want. It mirrors what we believe we are. When you say enough, when you draw the sacred line between what depletes and what nourishes, you send a new frequency through the quantum field. That moment of internal honesty collapses old patterns and gives birth to a new reality. Quantum physics describes the observer effect. Matter responds to observation. Spiritually, this means that the universe organizes itself around your coherence, not your confusion. When your emotional state aligns with your intention, your energy becomes information that the field can recognize. Dr. Joe Dispenza often says that emotion is the carrier wave of thought, and when both move in harmony, you create a signal powerful enough to reorder matter. The truth is that you cannot manifest from a state of self-rejection, because the energy of rejection is the antithesis of creation. Yet most people try to manifest while still living in emotional scarcity. They visualize abundance while internally vibrating with fear, or they affirm love while silently feeling unworthy of it. This split within consciousness is what keeps the desired reality suspended, unable to materialize. To love yourself radically is to unify your energy, to dissolve the inner war between what you want and what you think you deserve. That unification is not instant. It is cultivated through consistent awareness, compassion, and presence. Every time you choose not to abandon yourself, you strengthen the electromagnetic field of your being. The quantum mechanism responds to that integrity. It is not magic, it is resonance. The more you embody love, the more love becomes the geometry of your field, and everything aligned with that vibration begins to move toward you. Radical self-love also demands courage. It asks you to confront the parts of yourself you have exiled, the anger, the shame, the grief, and to hold them without judgment. Jung referred to this as integrating the shadow, and it is one of the most profound acts of spiritual maturity. When you stop hiding from your own darkness, you free enormous amounts of trapped energy. That energy, once transmuted, fuels your capacity to create consciously. It is the alchemy of self-acceptance. In quantum terms, you are releasing low-frequency waveforms and allowing your entire system to stabilize at a higher frequency of coherence. The body feels this shift. It relaxes. The nervous system recalibrates. The heart begins to emit a consistent rhythm, and that rhythm becomes a language the universe understands perfectly. True manifestation, then, is less about attracting and more about becoming. You do not chase what you desire. You become the vibrational equivalent of it. Love, abundance, peace, these are not prizes to be earned. They are states of consciousness that you tune into. Radical self-love is the tuning process. It teaches your energy to stay coherent, even when the external world appears chaotic. It teaches you to trust the unseen laws of balance that govern both spirit and science. When you practice this love daily, through stillness, gratitude, boundaries, and presence, you activate the mechanism of manifestation not through force, but through harmony. The field around you reorganizes, opportunities align, and synchronicities emerge as evidence of your alignment. This is where the journey truly begins. To love yourself radically is to declare independence from fear and dependency on external validation. It is to stand at the center of your universe, fully awake, and say, "I am the source." From that declaration, the quantum mechanism of creation accelerates, because now your energy carries authority. You are no longer asking life to prove your worth. You are living as proof of it. And in that frequency, steady, luminous, whole, the universe responds as it always does to coherence. It mirrors it back, informs beyond your imagination. When the silence between thoughts begins to widen, when the noise of external approval fades into the distance, a new form of awareness rises, one that feels like remembering rather than learning. This is the moment when self-love becomes an act of awakening. The first chapter taught us that the journey begins with radical self-acceptance. Now, we step deeper into the inner architecture of transformation, the subtle mechanism through which consciousness interacts with the quantum field. It is not a theory to be proven, it is a rhythm to be embodied. Each emotion, each breath becomes a thread in the tapestry of manifestation. The human body is not an obstacle to spiritual realization. It is the instrument through which divine intention finds form. Within every heartbeat lies a bridge between matter and energy, between desire and creation. There is a quiet truth that ancient mystics and modern scientists converge upon. Coherence is the language of creation. When your thoughts and emotions exist in harmony, you generate a measurable electromagnetic field that extends far beyond your physical body. The heart, not the brain, is the true conductor of this orchestra. Its rhythmic consistency signals safety to the nervous system, which in turn allows higher states of consciousness to emerge. Incoherence, by contrast, is the static of divided intention, when the mind desires abundance but the body remembers scarcity, or when the lips speak gratitude but the energy beneath trembles with fear. The universe does not respond to words, it responds to vibration. And vibration is nothing more than emotion translated into energy. To understand the mechanism of conscious manifestation, you must first understand the intelligence of emotion. Emotions are not random waves passing through you. They are information, guiding you toward alignment or away from it. When you suppress emotion, you interrupt communication with the universe itself. The quantum field responds to the totality of your being, not the fragments you present as acceptable. To love yourself radically is to create transparency between your inner world and the field around you. When nothing within you needs to hide, energy flows unimpeded, and manifestation becomes a natural consequence of coherence. The moment you allow emotion to complete its cycle, without resistance, without judgment, you reset your frequency to truth, and truth is magnetically attractive. In practice, this alignment feels like stillness, not excitement. Society teaches that success is acceleration, but in the realm of energy, power lives in stability. The most potent frequency is not loud, it is consistent. Think of a tuning fork. Once struck, it vibrates steadily until every molecule around it begins to match its tone. That is the essence of manifestation. When your emotional frequency holds steady in love, gratitude, and worthiness, reality rearranges itself to echo that signal. Dr. Joe Dispenza often explains that emotion is the energy that drives the thought into matter. Without elevated emotion, intention remains static, an unlit spark. But when feeling and thought synchronize, the wave collapses, and possibility becomes form. Every breakthrough you have ever experienced, no matter how small, was preceded by a moment of emotional coherence. It is easy to misunderstand this process as control, but manifestation is not about commanding the universe. It is about participating in it consciously. You are not summoning external forces, you are harmonizing with the natural laws that have always been in motion. Just as gravity does not need your belief to function, the quantum field does not require your approval to respond. What it reflects is your consistency. If you practice gratitude only when things go well, your vibration fluctuates, and the field mirrors that inconsistency. But when you anchor gratitude even in uncertainty, you become a stable point in the vast ocean of probability. That stability draws new timelines toward you, because the field seeks equilibrium, and your coherence becomes a magnet for order. Radical self-love is, therefore, not indulgence, but discipline. It is the practice of maintaining coherence in the face of chaos. It means meeting your own fear with compassion rather than avoidance, acknowledging pain without identifying with it, and returning to truth each time you drift. Imagine standing in the center of a storm, watching winds circle around you yet remaining unmoved. That is the energetic posture of creation. The universe respects such presence because presence is power. The quantum field recognizes it as certainty. Every particle in existence, conscious or not, responds to the frequency of certainty. It bends toward it, aligns with it, becomes it. To live in this state is not to escape humanity, but to embrace it fully. The mechanism of manifestation is not detached spirituality, it is embodied divinity. Each cell in your body carries the potential to resonate with your highest intention. Each breath is a conversation with the unseen intelligence that animates all things. When you breathe consciously, you remind your body that it is safe to receive. When you forgive yourself for the years spent in fear or self-criticism, you open energetic channels that had long been constricted. When you speak words of kindness to yourself, you instruct every cell to release resistance. Slowly, subtly, reality begins to shift, not because you forced it, but because you remembered how to flow with it. There will be moments when the field tests your commitment. Old circumstances may resurface, inviting you to return to familiar frequencies of doubt or scarcity. This is not punishment, it is calibration. The universe is asking, are you sure this is who you want to be? Each time you choose alignment over fear, the mechanism strengthens. Each time you remain centered when outcomes delay, you prove to yourself that your power is internal, not circumstantial. Over time, the external world bends to this realization, and synchronicities multiply like reflections of your newfound steadiness. Opportunities that once seemed distant appear effortlessly. Relationships align without struggle. Prosperity becomes the natural extension of peace. This is the secret that unites mysticism and science. Love is the most stable frequency in the universe. When you hold love, not romantic love, but the deep awareness of your own worth, you emit coherence across every layer of your being. The mind quiets, the heart synchronizes, the body relaxes, and the field responds with precision. The mechanism of conscious manifestation is nothing more than the dance between awareness and energy, guided by the steady rhythm of self-acceptance. When you master this dance, creation ceases to be an effort and becomes an expression. You no longer seek miracles. You become one. There comes a moment in every journey when stillness begins to speak louder than words. It is the moment when striving gives way to surrender, and we realize that what we have been chasing has always been seeking us as well. This is the paradox of manifestation. It begins the instant we stop trying to control it. Love, abundance, peace. None of these are rewards for perfect effort. They are the reflection of coherence between who we are and what we allow ourselves to receive. The universe never withholds, it simply mirrors. When you stand in the full acceptance of your being, when you release the tension between desire and doubt, the field around you reorganizes itself with mathematical precision. What once felt like resistance becomes rhythm. What once felt like waiting becomes alignment. To embody this truth, we must first dissolve the illusion of separation. The idea that there is a you trying to reach something out there is one of the greatest distortions of modern spirituality. You are not a seeker wandering through a random universe. You are consciousness experiencing itself through form. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel is not isolated within the boundaries of your skin. It vibrates through the very fabric of creation. Quantum theory calls this entanglement, but mystics have known it for centuries. Everything is connected, and consciousness is the bridge. When you shift internally, you shift the entire network of potential realities available to you. The mechanism of manifestation does not respond to hope. It responds to identity. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are willing to become. This is why radical self-love is not simply an emotional exercise. It is the most advanced form of quantum calibration. When you hold yourself in compassion despite imperfection, you emit a coherent signal that says, I am safe to expand. The nervous system, freed from the constant cycle of fight or flight, begins to generate biochemical harmony. The brain produces neurochemicals associated with joy and focus. The heart emits a rhythmic frequency that synchronizes with the field of the earth itself. And the quantum field, responsive, intelligent, infinite, reflects that coherence by orchestrating circumstances that match your inner state. Manifestation, at its core, is biological spirituality. The body is not separate from the field, it is the field condensed into form. When your biology vibrates with peace, your reality reshapes itself accordingly. Still, the human mind resists this truth. It clings to effort, because effort feels familiar. We were taught to earn love, to chase validation, to prove our worth through doing. But the quantum mechanism is not transactional. It is reciprocal. It cannot be coerced. It can only be resonated with. This is why surrender is not weakness but mastery. To surrender is to release interference. Imagine an orchestra where every instrument plays at a different tempo. The result is chaos. When you let go of control, you allow the divine conductor, universal intelligence, to guide the symphony of your life into harmony. Suddenly, timing feels effortless. The right people appear. Doors open without force. You move from survival to flow. In this state, your perception shifts. Ordinary moments become luminous. A conversation, a breeze, a line of sunlight on the floor, all become reflections of the field responding to your coherence. You begin to live in dialogue with the universe, and that dialogue is subtle but constant. Coincidences evolve into synchronicities, not because fate has suddenly taken interest in you, but because you have become conscious of a pattern that was always there. You are no longer looking for signs, you are the sign. The external world ceases to be an authority and becomes a mirror. This is the essence of manifestation, not creation from nothing, but revelation of what was already encoded in the fabric of existence. True prosperity, therefore, is not measured in possessions, but in resonance. It is the state of being where your inner frequency aligns so fully with abundance that life itself begins to conspire on your behalf. You feel guided, supported, sustained, not because the external world changed first, but because your perception of it did. Abundance flows naturally to those who no longer chase it, because chasing implies lack, and the field cannot deliver coherence to a signal of contradiction. Gratitude becomes the gateway here. To be grateful before the evidence appears is to demonstrate trust in the unseen laws that govern creation. Gratitude collapses the gap between now and later. It tells the universe that the manifestation is already complete. And because energy follows belief, reality follows suit. The practice of alignment is ongoing. There will be days when your energy wavers, when fear whispers that the process is not working. In those moments, remember, doubt does not cancel manifestation, it delays clarity. The field is patient. It will always match your most consistent frequency, not your most desperate moment. Your task is not to be perfect, but to be aware. Each breath is an opportunity to return, to realign, to choose love over fear once more. Consistency, not intensity, creates transformation. Just as a river shapes stone not by force but by persistence, your energy reshapes reality through steadiness. What begins as an inner choice eventually becomes a new way of existing. The body, mind, and spirit align into one harmonious current. You no longer live in reaction to the world. The world begins to move in response to you. Manifestation becomes less about effort and more about embodiment. You walk as one who knows they are already connected to everything they desire. The boundaries between the dreamer and the dream dissolve, and life unfolds as a seamless continuation of your inner state. This is not a miracle reserved for the few. It is the natural order of an awakened being. When love becomes your baseline, creation becomes inevitable. The mechanism does not need your force, it needs your truth. And truth, expressed through self-love, is the most powerful vibration in the universe. There is a sacred rhythm in the unfolding of a life that has chosen awareness. Once the heart remembers its own authority, once the mind quiets enough to listen to that deep inner voice, manifestation ceases to be a distant goal and becomes a natural extension of existence itself. The energy that once scattered itself across fears and expectations begins to gather inward, forming a pulse of coherence that can shape the invisible. Every act of love you extend toward yourself becomes a frequency broadcast into the quantum field, a signal of wholeness that rearranges the architecture of your reality. The field does not respond to perfection, it responds to authenticity. When you are true, even in your uncertainty, the energy of creation moves through you unimpeded. Self-love at this depth is not gentle at first. It demands that you see yourself without filters, that you meet the unguarded places within, and choose compassion over resistance. You cannot manifest abundance while despising the parts of you that fear lack, nor can you call in love while rejecting your own tenderness. The field magnifies what you embody, not what you deny. So every time you face your own shadow with patience, you refine your signal. You shift from broadcasting contradiction to emitting coherence. In that coherence, everything changes. Your relationships, your opportunities, even the way your body feels within its own gravity. Energy is information, and self-love is the purest form of energetic clarity available to human consciousness. There is a deep humility required in realizing that manifestation is less about commanding the universe and more about remembering that you are an inseparable expression of it. The field does not revolve around your desires, it responds to your frequency, and frequency is determined by your emotional truth. When you choose presence over pretense, when you anchor yourself in gratitude rather than anticipation, your vibration stabilizes into harmony with life itself. You stop waiting for evidence before believing and start believing as evidence. That is the turning point. Manifestation, at its essence, is not a reward for effort, but a consequence of alignment. The universe cannot withhold from you what you already are in resonance with. At times, this truth feels difficult to hold. We live in a world that glorifies effort, where worth is measured by output and visibility. Yet the quantum field operates by entirely different principles. It does not measure effort, it measures coherence. It does not require struggle, it responds to surrender. The greatest paradox is that the more you relax into the flow of your own being, the faster things begin to move. Energy accelerates through stillness, not through strain. This is why ancient traditions spoke of faith not as belief in something external, but as a deep physiological trust in the intelligence that breathes life through every atom. To live in such faith is to allow creation to happen through you, not because of you. In that space of surrender, something beautiful unfolds. You begin to feel connected to everything, the people you meet, the synchronicities that arise, even the challenges that seem to arrive with uncanny timing. You recognize that life itself is communicating with you constantly, not through grand gestures, but through subtle resonance. The book that falls open to the right passage, the unexpected call that answers an unspoken question, the quiet sense of knowing that precedes visible proof, all are reflections of a field responding to your inner state. The more you trust these signs, the stronger the dialogue becomes. Manifestation, then, is not a linear act of projection, but a circular dance of participation. You send energy into the field echoes it back, and through that reflection, both you and the universe evolve. This dance deepens when you embrace the concept of timing, not chronological time, but divine timing. The universe does not work according to the clock, it works according to coherence. When what you desire aligns fully with who you are becoming, manifestation unfolds effortlessly. Before that alignment, it may appear as delay, but delay is only preparation in disguise. Each pause is an invitation to refine your vibration, to release the residue of fear, to strengthen the signal of trust. The quantum field is precise. It cannot deliver abundance into a frequency of scarcity. It waits patiently until your energy becomes a match for what you seek, and when it does, the unfolding is instantaneous. Not because the field suddenly decided to respond, but because you finally stopped resisting your own expansion. Radical self-love in this way becomes the ultimate mechanism of creation. It is the frequency through which all things are born, because it is the frequency of truth itself. When you inhabit love, not as emotion but as being, you become a conductor of universal intelligence. Your thoughts gain clarity, your emotions harmonize, your words carry weight, your presence becomes magnetic. You no longer manifest from lack, but from fullness. The need to prove or justify dissolves, replaced by quiet confidence in your connection to all that is. In this state, manifestation is not a means to an end. It is a language of communion. You are no longer trying to shape reality. You are conversing with it moment by moment. As you stand in this awareness, a new peace begins to take root. You realize that the journey of manifestation is not about acquiring more, but about remembering the vastness you already hold within. You become less concerned with outcomes and more devoted to presence. The love you cultivate within becomes a gravitational force that draws experiences, people, and opportunities into orbit around your energy. This is not coincidence. It is coherence made visible. You are both the cause and the evidence of the field's perfection. Every breath you take becomes a declaration of participation in a cosmic symphony far grander than the self could ever compose alone. This is the true manifestation, not the creation of things, but the revelation of harmony. There is a quiet threshold between understanding and embodiment, a place where knowledge no longer seeks validation and begins to breathe through experience. It is here that the journey of manifestation deepens into wisdom. You begin to realize that the outer world is not a collection of random events, but an intricate mirror of your internal state. Every encounter, delay, and breakthrough is a dialogue between your consciousness and the field of infinite potential. Life, in its mysterious precision, is always teaching alignment. The more you observe without resistance, the clearer this becomes. The path of radical self-love is not linear. It spirals, revisiting lessons from higher levels of awareness each time. What once felt like failure now appears as refinement, and what once seemed like chaos begins to reveal its order. At this level, manifestation becomes less about asking and more about remembering. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to vibration. You cannot deceive energy. If beneath your affirmations lies doubt, the field will mirror uncertainty. But when you embody belief, not as a performance but as truth, the entire fabric of your reality reorganizes itself to reflect that coherence. This is why the most powerful manifestations often arise not from the loudest declarations, but from the quietest states of knowing. A deep calm precedes creation. Within that calm, every cell of your being emits the signal, "I am ready." The field, in its infinite intelligence, hears this resonance and aligns circumstances accordingly. You are not sending a request to the universe, you are remembering your place within it. To sustain this awareness requires gentleness with yourself. The human experience is cyclical, full of expansion and contraction, and each phase has purpose. When your energy contracts, when you feel disconnected or uncertain, it is not a regression but an invitation to ground deeper. The field does not judge your frequency, it simply reflects it. If your vibration wavers, reality adjusts to that rhythm. The gift of awareness is the ability to notice this shift and return to alignment with compassion instead of punishment. To love yourself radically is to meet every fluctuation with patience, to honor each emotional tide as part of the greater current of awakening. You are not failing when you falter. You are refining the instrument through which creation flows. The most profound transformation happens not through what you add, but through what you release. Manifestation is often misunderstood as acquisition, more wealth, more love, more success. But true manifestation is the unveiling of what was always available once interference is removed. The clutter of fear, comparison, and self-judgment blocks the natural current of creation. The act of letting go of outcomes, timelines, identities, restores the field to clarity. In that clarity, what is truly aligned emerges effortlessly. The law of correspondence, known to mystics and scientists alike, states that the outer reflects the inner. When you clear the fog within, the world around you responds with new luminosity. You stop chasing abundance and start living as it. Each breath is an opportunity to re-enter coherence. The body, long treated as separate from spiritual work, is the most immediate tool of alignment. When you breathe slowly and fully, you signal to your nervous system that it is safe to receive. Safety is the foundation of manifestation. Without it, energy cannot stabilize. Every act of presence, a conscious breath, a slow exhale, a moment of gratitude, tunes your frequency closer to love. The simplicity of this truth often hides its magnitude. The universe is not complex, it is precise. When your body, mind, and spirit synchronize, creation follows with elegance. You no longer push against the current, you flow with it. Effort transforms into grace. As your vibration stabilizes, you begin to experience time differently. The anxiety of when dissolves, replaced by trust in divine timing. Manifestation unfolds in patterns that the mind cannot always predict, but the heart can feel. What is meant for you does not arrive through struggle, it arrives through resonance. This understanding liberates you from urgency. You stop measuring your progress by external outcomes and start recognizing it in the expansion of your peace. You realize that everything you are seeking already exists in the present moment, encoded in potential, waiting for your coherence to unlock it. Time becomes less a line and more a spiral of unfolding awareness. In this state of remembering, love ceases to be an emotion and becomes a frequency of perception. You see through it, speak from it, create with it. Self-love and divine love merge, revealing that they were never separate. To love yourself is to love the universe, because the universe experiences itself through you. When you align with that truth, your life transforms into a prayer. Every action, a form of gratitude. Every word, a vibration of creation. You no longer seek miracles because you recognize that existence itself is one. The mechanism of manifestation continues to operate, but now it is effortless, sustained by the simple rhythm of being. This chapter of the journey concludes not with instruction, but with remembrance. You are already the energy that creates worlds. Nothing external can add to or subtract from your essence. The practice of manifestation is not about acquiring power. It is about reclaiming awareness of the power that has always been yours. The field moves in response to your coherence, and coherence is born from love. When you inhabit that love fully, without resistance, without pretense, you become a living frequency of creation. Every breath, every heartbeat, every quiet moment becomes an act of alignment. And in that alignment, the universe, vast and timeless, bows in recognition of itself within you. In the end, the path of manifestation leads not outward but inward. Every reality you long to experience already exists as a frequency waiting for you to match it. The true power never lay in methods, rituals, or external effort. It has always rested in your capacity to return again and again to the vibration of love that is your natural state. The more you live from that center, the more the quantum field bends in harmony with your intention. What you once called miracles begin to unfold as everyday expressions of coherence. Radical self-love becomes the quiet engine of your evolution, turning longing into embodiment and confusion into clarity. The separation between you and what you seek dissolves, and life becomes a seamless continuation of your own awareness. Every breath, every choice, every moment is now part of the sacred choreography of creation, moving perfectly in rhythm with your heart. To love yourself radically is to awaken from the illusion of distance, to see that the universe has never been elsewhere, that abundance has never been withheld, that peace has never been lost. It is to live in remembrance that you are both observer and creation, the spark and the flame, the question and the answer. The mechanism of conscious manifestation is not about gaining control, but about surrendering to truth. When love becomes your baseline, life itself transforms into prayer, one continuous breathing act of gratitude. The field listens, always, not to what you demand, but to what you embody. Embody love, and you will witness it reflected everywhere. Before you leave this moment, take a breath and ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped waiting and started embodying the love you keep searching for? The universe is listening right now, ready to respond to your coherence, your presence, your truth. If this message touched something within you, if you felt even a spark of remembrance, then this space was meant for you. Subscribe to the channel so we can continue walking this path together, exploring the mysteries of consciousness, abundance, and awakening. Your journey doesn't end here, it deepens. Stay with us and keep expanding your awareness. Click on one of the videos appearing on your screen, continue exploring, and let the next chapter of your transformation begin.